overall pick, and they just watched their old wide receiver win a Super Bowl. Ryan has them getting a new wide receiver in Arkansas's Treylon Burks. Danny, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it had to hurt watching Odell Beckham out there, having a touchdown early in that game. But Treylon Burks is not an Odell Beckham type player. He's bigger, and this is a massive wide receiver. It's 6'3", 220 pounds. The physicality of his game really jumps out to you, and he uses his arm and upper body strength to really power up against, smaller DBs, which is great. But I also think it comes at a detriment too, because his route running ability is a little bit lacking, but the raw potential is there. I think especially if you look at the versatility where they were able to use him. They even used him at running back at times at Arkansas because he's that good of an athlete. And you could see him in a role similar to the way San Francisco 49ers use a Deebo Samuel, who's not quite as big, but this versatility is simply there. Drops show up a little bit on tape, but I think overall the upside potential is there with Treylon Burks, which wouldn't surprise me if he was one of the top wide receivers, if not the top wide receiver off the board.
Let's go to the Chargers at 17, and Ryan has them taking Ohio State wide receiver Garrett Wilson. Brady, the Chargers fall just short of the postseason. Do you like him to help bolster this team?
Well, of course, you got to love what Garrett Wilson was able to put on tape really throughout his career at Ohio State, but in particular this past season. Coming into this season, I think most people have said Chris Olave was their top wide receiver. It was Garrett Wilson who ultimately stole the show. He's a little bigger than Olave at 6 foot, about 190 pounds. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't put on some additional weight too. But what stood out is his explosiveness. I mean, you get the ball in this young man's hands or even downfield, he's got the ability to separate. He's got the ability to make the ridiculous play. I mean, he is a complete wide receiver. The only downside is sometimes you see him drop the easy ones. It can be a little bit concerning at times, but both these two guys are absolutely phenomenal. But I think it was Garrett Wilson who ultimately kind of won out, who will ultimately be the first wide receiver taken when it's all said and done in this year's draft from the Ohio State University.
Let's go to another wide receiver going to the Saints. At 18, Ryan Wilson, Jameson Williams, of course, got hurt. Nobody seems too worried about that. Ryan, the Saints, they got a lot going on right now, so why go with him?
A lot of drama in New Orleans for sure. They have to figure out what the world's going to look like in a post without Sean Payton. They have to sort out the quarterback situation. Is it going to be Jameis coming back? Are they going to roll with Ian Book? I don't think it'll be Pete Prisco's favorite player, the do-it-all quarterback there. So what are you going to do? Well, why not fix the wide receiver, go with Jameson Williams? I talked to 3 teams, none of them concerned about him being a first-round pick. The worst-case scenario, someone said, was maybe top of the second round, but you know you're going to get him back in October, November, and you know how good he can be. Mike Thomas, he didn't play last year. Does he want to stay in New Orleans now that things have changed? He didn't seem crazy about New Orleans last year as he was sitting on his couch, so those are some concerns there once you sort out the quarterback situation. The defense is really good. The offensive line is really good, so if you get the quarterback and get him some playmakers, you can be competitive in a division that no longer includes Tom Brady. And Jameson Williams, had he stayed healthy, and again, he's sort of the Jermaine Johnson of wide receivers. He had to leave Ohio State to get playing time at Alabama. He might end up being the first wide receiver taken. That's sort of how fluid this class is at wide receiver. So I like the idea of him going to New Orleans, playing on a fast track. Just got to figure out who's going to be throwing him the passes.
Welcome back. We got the final 5 picks of the first round of Ryan Wilson's latest mock draft there, and a lot of decisions to be made with these teams. The Packers not sure if they're going to have Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams for that matter. What did the Chiefs do to try to make it back to the Super Bowl? And can the Bengals pretty please find somebody to protect Joe Burrow? Let's welcome back Brady, Quinn, Danny Kanell, and Ryan Wilson to go through the final few picks here. We'll start with the Packers at 28. Danny, we'll toss this one over to you. As I mentioned, don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers or Devontae Adams. Ryan has them taking USC wide receiver Drake London.
So this is the biggest specimen of the class. At 6'5", over 200 pounds. He can run. He's just a big body that has an incredible catch radius. And I think it's one of the reasons, like this wide receiver class, you can make a strong case for a lot of them to potentially be the first wide receiver drafted. And I think Drake London fits that category. Insane athlete, can get out there. Most of his work was done in the slot at USC. That's probably one of the red flags about him. Hasn't done too much work outside as a true wide receiver. But I look at him as a taller version of a Keenan Allen, somebody who's just a great playmaker on the ball, great ball skills, great deep ball. If you're looking for chunk yardage, you put it anywhere in his vicinity, he's going to come down with it. So I think this is one of the prospects I would love. As a guy who likes long, tall wide receivers, because I wasn't accurate, I just put it anywhere in their area. And
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.